The most unsettling idea Hannah Arendt ever proposed was not that evil is powerful, organized, or driven by hatred. It was that the most dangerous people are often those who think nothing at all. Not because they are stupid, not because they are ignorant, but because they have abandoned the habit of thinking. They move through life efficiently, responsibly, and correctly, yet without reflection. And that absence, Arendt believed, is where real danger begins. We are taught to fear passion, extremism, and rage. We imagine danger as loud and dramatic. But Arendt warned that thoughtlessness is far more effective. A person who thinks nothing does not struggle internally. They do not hesitate. They do not feel torn between right and wrong. They simply act. And action without thought can travel very far, very fast, without resistance. Thinking, in Arendt's sense, is not about intelligence or education. It is not about having strong opinions or complex theories. Thinking is the inner dialogue that asks uncomfortable questions. Can I live with this? Can I accept myself after doing this? What does this action mean? When this dialogue disappears, a person becomes frighteningly adaptable. They adjust to any environment, any rule, any expectation, without friction. Arendt observed that people who think nothing are often praised. They are reliable, efficient, cooperative. They do not cause problems. They do not question instructions. They do not slow things down. In organizations and systems, they are ideal. But morally, they are vulnerable. Without thinking, they have no internal brakes, no limits, no resistance. What makes thoughtlessness so dangerous is that it does not feel dangerous. It feels normal. It feels practical. It feels responsible. A person who thinks nothing does not see themselves as harmful. They see themselves as doing their job, following the process, respecting authority. They experience no inner conflict because there is no inner dialogue left to create it. Arendt argued that this condition is not rare. It is cultivated. Modern systems reward speed, compliance, and productivity. Reflection is treated as delay, doubt as weakness, questioning as disruption. Over time, people learn to silence their inner dialogue in order to function smoothly. And once that silence becomes habitual, thinking feels unnecessary. The danger intensifies when thoughtlessness becomes collective, when entire environments operate without reflection, when no one asks why, only how, when moral language disappears and is replaced by technical language, when actions are justified by procedures rather than judged by conscience. In such environments, harm can occur without anyone feeling responsible. Arendt rejected the idea that ignorance is the root of this problem. Many thoughtless people know facts. They are informed, educated, skilled, but knowledge is not thinking. Thinking requires stopping. It requires confronting meaning. It requires the willingness to face discomfort. A person can know many things and still think nothing. The climax of Arendt's warning is deeply disturbing. A person who thinks nothing is capable of almost anything. Not because they desire harm, but because nothing inside them says stop. No inner voice objects. No question interrupts the action. When that happens, morality becomes external. It depends entirely on rules, laws, and authority. And if those external guides collapse or turn destructive, there is nothing left inside the individual to resist. This is why Arendt believed that the absence of thought is more dangerous than hatred. Hatred is visible. It can be confronted. Thoughtlessness is invisible. It hides behind normality. It spreads quietly. It allows people to participate in harmful systems without ever seeing themselves as participants in harm. The most frightening aspect is that thoughtlessness feels comfortable. Thinking is tiring. It creates tension. It forces people to confront contradictions. Thoughtlessness removes that burden. Life becomes smoother, simpler, less conflicted. But this smoothness comes at a terrible cost. When thinking disappears, responsibility soon follows. Arendt believed that thinking is what makes people human in the deepest sense, not creativity, not intelligence, but the ability to reflect on one's own actions, to judge them, to refuse to act when an action cannot be justified to oneself. When that ability is lost, people do not become monsters. They become empty, and emptiness is far more adaptable than cruelty. Modern life makes this condition easier than ever. Constant noise leaves little room for silence. Constant urgency leaves little room for pause. People are encouraged to react, to comply, to move on. There is always something to do, something to respond to, something to follow. In this environment, thinking feels like a luxury. But Arendt believed it is a necessity. The most dangerous lie is the belief that not thinking keeps you safe. That if you don't question, you won't be responsible. That if you don't reflect, you won't be guilty. Arendt dismantled this completely. Not thinking does not protect you. It exposes you. It makes you available to forces you may not even recognize. Thinking does not guarantee moral purity. Thinking people can still do harm, but thoughtlessness guarantees vulnerability. It removes the only internal barrier between action and consequence. It allows people to say, honestly, that they never really considered what they were doing. And that honesty is precisely what makes the situation terrifying. Arendt did not offer comfort. She offered responsibility. She insisted that thinking is an obligation, not a hobby. That refusing to think is not a neutral act. It is a moral failure. And that societies collapse not only because of evil intentions, but because of widespread thoughtlessness. The most dangerous people are not those driven by hatred. They are those who have surrendered their inner dialogue. Those who no longer ask themselves whether their actions make sense morally. Those who move through the world without resistance, without judgment, without reflection. They do not feel evil. They feel normal. If this idea unsettles you, that discomfort is important, it means you are still thinking. Hannah Arendt believed that as long as people are willing to think, to pause, and to judge themselves, evil will never become effortless. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think society today encourages thinking or rewards thoughtlessness? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this video made you reflect on your own inner dialogue, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Because the most dangerous people are not those who think wrongly, but those who think nothing at all.